Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to HSCi 6275, which is also CML, CRA, HCQ, and RAFF 6275. I hope everyone has had a nice holiday weekend wherever you are. It was probably a hot one, no matter where you were. But I hope you got a little bit of a rest somewhere in the weekend, even though it wasn't really a long holiday, a long weekend. But I hope you got a little bit of rest, even though you're still taking a course right now. So here we are moving from the first 2 weeks of the course into week three. And you'll notice that when you click on week three, all of a sudden it seems like there's a lot less work to do. If you recall, when I spoke with you initially in this course, I reminded you how important it is to stay on track. This is very much a self-disciplined course. So it's hard to believe, but a quarter of the course is already over. So now we move into the portion of time where you're going to be working consistently by yourself, but that doesn't mean it has to be by yourself. As you know, this week we're asking that everyone respond to others in the discussion board by Friday on your relevant disciplines and perspectives for your topic. I think I've read through most all of them right now, as of today, but I'm sure there's going to be more discussion as the week goes on. This is really a great opportunity for you to share with your classmates and with me, your progress in starting to develop what will be that matrix at the end of the month on the 29th, which is your sort of worksheet. Think of it that way, to help you organize the literature that you have been looking at. Some of the things I found in reading through is that in some cases, people have been very diligent and have found maybe 4 or 5 different disciplines to look into. That's fine. I don't want to stop you from doing that. And then I have some folks that I read where I think they might be looking too narrowly at this point. I'm not worried about that either, because I believe once you get into the review of those disciplines that you're using possibly as your search terms and that sort of thing, you'll start to realize how much really these disciplines overlap. For everyone, I would like to encourage you to think about the context of your white paper. So, in some cases, you might be saying rare diseases. Let's use as an example. So, in rare diseases, is there a particular rare disease that you're talking about? Are there a cluster of rare diseases? What's the context? The same goes with those of you who are looking maybe more at leadership sort of things having to do with management and change. Think about a context. I find when you give yourself some sort of backdrop in the beginning of this course to think about how you're going to apply the topical area that you're researching, it's helpful because it sort of keeps you on the rails. It can be very overwhelming to look at a bunch of literature without a context in mind. And what I mean by context, it could be something at your work environment that you imagine needs attention. It could be something you've experienced in your research or possibly working with a researcher. I'm thinking, for instance, when it comes to real world evidence, it could be something you are seeing as a trend in your field or industry. But I think if you give yourself a context, it makes it a lot easier to imagine how you're going to be able to reinsert into that topical area the material that you've been reading in the first 2 weeks of the semester. So I want to remind you now, before anyone gets too far ahead, remember the course is about leadership and change. So the readings from sessions 1 and 2 are going to play an important part in your paper overall. So you need to consider, really everyone needs to consider what disciplines that are being presented in these first 2 weeks can also be considered in your literature review. Very important thing, because I think what has happened, I've seen happen in this course over the years, is that you sometimes forget that part and you're getting really involved in the problem that you have decided to work on for yourself, but it's sort of an afterthought as to how does the change in management and leadership literature contribute to that literature review. So I just want to tell everyone now to keep that in mind. Later, you'll find that you're going to have to write the first part of the paper, then the second part of the paper. And it's really important that you don't lose sight. Also, I would highly recommend that in those first 2 weeks, go back every once in a while and review those materials so you can really start to imprint onto the topic that you have chosen the relevance of the change, leadership, and management material. Okay. As we move into now session week 3, you'll see you can continue to provide feedback to your classmates throughout this week. We want to try to wrap it up by Friday of this week. You want to make sure you've completed the readings from week 1 and 2. If you haven't already, go back and fill in those gaps. Find out what you have not necessarily digested, or maybe you just didn't get a chance to read all those papers. This is the time to go back. You're going to start to focus on that literature review and use the matrix, the Health Sciences Rapid Review Matrix, as the way of organizing that literature as you're going through it. I always tell people, everything you find is not going to be helpful. So take that into consideration. So if you do a search and you find, a dozen articles that you want to look through and peruse, there may only be like 2 or 3 out of that dozen that are really useful for your topic area, or they're not areas that you really want to get into. You'd rather keep it, tight and focused in a different area. So don't feel that it's just a matter of numbers and how many articles that you've looked at, but the articles that are really going to help you, and ones that are really going to contribute to your paper. At any point, if you're having difficulty, you're getting lost, overwhelmed, please contact me. And lastly, I want to say that due to the weather in Texas from Hurricane Beryl, you may not even have electricity as I'm saying this, but if you have any challenges related to the weather, please contact me, or know that I'm aware. I'm also going to post some things in the announcements so you know how to get a hold of me, or at least so you understand that we can be flexible with what's going on right now. Right now, you have nothing really to deliver other than your discussion board work. But we can still make some accommodations if you're in a difficult spot. So I look forward to continuing to read your discussion boards as the week goes on. And I'm looking forward to the insights that classmates give. Some people are really doing a great job of providing recommendations of articles, or how you could make your paper stronger, or challenging people to be a little bit more specific about what they're actually going to be writing on. And this is a really great thing and a great way to make this process more of a discussion than rather feeling that you are off on your own on a desert island. Okay, so have a great week. I look forward to continuing to read your posts, and reach out to me if you have any problems at all. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.